Welcome into Coffee and Chel. It is Tuesday, November 4th. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the dog days. We are going to discuss the dog days of not just Chel, but video games in general. Because, man, yesterday I went through it. We're going to talk about, my findings and what I'm getting, what I get excited about in NHL still. And then I need to discuss yesterday's video. So, let's start there. We had a commenter in the video state in my last video because I'd gone a few days and I did a lot of yapping to make up for it, talking about the stuff I wanted to, discuss, but I only got to like 3 or 4 comments. And I apologize for that. But in the prior video, I asked everyone to give me your reasoning as to why you want storage sets. And the reason why I asked that was because would locking cards in your collection by just clicking, let's say left clicking on a card in your collection and then locking it so that it can't be used in sets, would that be an adequate fix? As well as another thing that I brought up was the compare price feature right from your collection. So if you click on a card in your collection, there's an option for compare price, and it would show you that card's price in the auction house. If you had those two things, do you need a storage set? That was all I asked. And I went through all the comments this morning from that prior video, because usually, guys, when it comes to Coffee and Chel, what I do is I usually have a topic that I want to discuss, and then for the comments, I just go by the top sorted, and then I'll read through and just see if there's any ones that I deem pretty interesting. So again, the ones that are liked, I notice. So make sure that you're liking those comments that you want me to address. So I went through the comments with the storage sets, and yeah, a lot of people agreed that if there was an ability to lock the card in your collection as well as compare price wasn't brought up a lot, but the lock feature specifically, that would alleviate pretty much all of the concerns or need for the storage set. The other thing that was interesting was locking lineup. So if a card is in your lineup, regardless if it's your main one or one of the ones created that you're not using, so like if you're making a team of the week lineup, let's say, that one was also a pretty popular one. So I completely agree. If they added those 3 things, I don't think they need a storage set. Because again, like I said, I think that the account bound stuff, they have to figure out a way to make it work. And I think they're trying to figure out if they're going to do storage sets, they want to make sure it's for the right reason. And I think that adding other features, if they work, would probably be better if they can't just add a storage set like they had before, because of the account bound stuff. In all honesty, it's kind of ridiculous that we just can't get a storage set, like just regardless if you had all the other features. But like I mentioned, I think that the only reason that I would use a storage set would be to, again, make sure I can't trade a card in by accident. And the other thing would be compare pricing as well as the lineup thing. I would really enjoy that. So I'm curious to see what they do. Maybe that's easier for them. I have no idea. I was just curious as to what you guys think, and that was a pretty common one. That if they added those things, you wouldn't need it. So I also get asked why I don't drink coffee and Chel. I do. I usually just finish my coffee right before I get down here. So, all right, let's talk about the dog days. So yesterday, I said this while I was streaming, that my burnout of the game is my own self-inflicted problem. I did a subathon, and my community, you guys, a lot of you, were so generous that my subathon, I literally played for 35 straight days. I wish I was over-exaggerating. Like 35 days since launch of the game, I played NHL. And I don't care if it's World of Warcraft or some other, like Red Dead, I don't know. I'm trying to think of Grand Theft Auto. Like, it doesn't matter. The biggest, most popular games that have the most to do, if you played for 35 days straight, like, you're done. You know what I mean? We have the attention span of, like, rabbits at this point. So the ability to play one thing or watch one thing or stay on one topic for that long, self-inflicted. I knew when I was doing it, when I got, like, 3 weeks in, I'm like, oh, my God, man. And I was enjoying it while I was playing it because I was doing Cup Chase, right? Not because I enjoyed Cup Chase, but because the rewards were repeatable. And I was playing ranked, like, sparingly for the amount of time that I had. Like, I think I maybe played 200 games, which is a ton. But when you consider I was live for, like, 35 days, low for me because I don't like playing offline. I knew what would happen. The second I stopped my subathon, it would immediately go to I would not play offline really at all. And what ended up happening was if I wanted to take part in events like the beast mode event or whatever, because I'm no money spent, I don't drop any money on this game. And because of that and the reward structure currently in game, you have to play offline. Online has always been hindered by time input not giving the rewards back, right? Even at its peak when you could get to ultimate and whatever rank you were and you could get untradeable and you get double the packs and all that, it paled in comparison to the time input for offline and just grinding out objectives and stuff. But now it's not even close. So I got to platinum, and I just know I know that without me putting in 3 weeks or a solid 2 weeks of playing 4 hours, a couple hours a day, where I'm watching my gameplay, I'm locked in. Every game matters. That's the only way I could get to improve that. I think I'm like gold 3, gold 4. I'm just like stuck there because I don't care. Because I know that the next reward for ranked is just not going to be that great, and it's going to require me to play at my peak. And I'm just like drained of it. I go in and there's parts of the gameplay I really don't enjoy. There's things I do like, but I just really don't enjoy it. So my stream yesterday, I streamed twice, but the afternoon stream was just such a drag. And I'm like, I got 10 more, or I got like 9 more months of this. And that's fine. This is nothing new. Usually it just happens a bit later. But again, I streamed for a month straight to start the game. So what I did was I was like, you know what? I got 300,000 coins and some cards in my collection. Let's blow it up. And that was the enjoyment part. I spent about an hour. All right, let's just redo the team. And what was frustrating is that all my coins are gone. And I know by doing Market Monday videos now that all of the stuff I blew my coins on will be a fraction of the price in 5 days. But it's the only way to really get like the sense of like new. And there's a lot of line combos. There's a lot of different options. I need something to work towards. And I think it just pinpointed that this beast mode event, what I ended up doing, you'll see it in my no money spent video that we'll work on today. But I got like 5 of the beast mode players, put them in my lineup. A lot of them, I have 2+6 lines. I've got the McKinnon, Kucherov, Will Smith line that I think is don't mess with. Get that line. The next one was like Barkov, Bedard, and Solani, I think. Again, getting a big boost. But it allowed, even though they're only 81 overalls, Barkov and Bedard, it allowed them to like be useful, right? I could use them still, which is just such a bonus. And then I had my defense, and I was like, okay, I reworked my 4th line, got a sick game breaker one that gives a ton of different stuff, like a ton of salary, AP. You'll see it in the video again. And then on defense, I was messing around. I'm like, okay, Sanheim with Makar. And then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, dude, how am I going to get 115 tokens? Not possible. Not possible. But I'm like, hey, at least it's something to work towards. Because even if I don't get him to 86, I could at some point because I have 30 tokens. But I just love this event. I really do enjoy it. It's like, I think maybe it would get stale, but I just don't see a downside to it. They gave us multiple free 81 overall cards by just doing an objective. We got 2, one for each week, where you could just get an 81 for free. The 81s themselves are not that inexpensive. One cup chase run or just doing the team of the week objectives, weekly headliners, and that's pretty much it. You could get an MSP. I'm talking the 81s. The tokens obviously are the expensive part. There needs to be an expensive part. It's a business, right? They can't just give us everything. That would be amazing. But my audience is understanding in that sense that we're not going to get everything for free. But I really enjoy the event, and I think it allows a lot of flexibility. And I'm very curious to see what they do next. I think the next event is not going to be like this. I think it's going to be. It's the last event of the season, and I would anticipate that this event we're gonna get like plus 12 overall, something where we get 99s. I have a feeling because they want to try and get everything out of the last of the season 1 before season 2 ticks over. So, I'm very curious to see how season 2 goes, and we'll see. But let's get into some of the questions and comments from yesterday's video. 44 likes on a video that like will not show up in an algorithm unless you search. I love you guys, man. You show up and watch Coffee and Chel every morning. It makes me enjoy doing these videos, and they require, again, very little time. It's just me going over talking to you guys, and it's almost like Twitch chat with YouTube. I don't know. I just love it, and I apologize. So, Remy says, mention to the devs that we want to see our opponent's boosts as well. I can't stand getting scored on by what looks like a low overall card when in reality, I know for a fact that card has an insane boost attached. Why do they allow us to only see our own boost, but not our opponents? Makes zero sense. I want to see my opponents really using against me. This is a great point that I haven't noticed. I, for some reason, thought it did show, but you're right. I played yesterday, and I agree. I would love to see that. I think that would be, um, you know, see the line combos pop up. Like not even the line combo pop up, but yeah, like that overall change. So if like Will Smith scores, he's 91. If he's with McKinnon and Kucherov, like let it be known, right? But yeah, like, if you have 81s in your lineup, but they're boosted to +6 or actually 87s, I completely agree. I think that's a good point that needs to be implemented. I don't know why it isn't, but Henrik says, hi, Sleeps. Maybe it's already been mentioned in the comments before, but imagine if they could implement a feature where you could tap on each line combo and it would show you all the cards you own that fit into that combination. As it is right now, it's totally impossible to remember all of the ifs and buts. That would be an awesome feature. Tap it and voila, here are all the cards that fit this one. A next step would be when looking at your collection, you could see which multiple combos card belong to. Hope you get it what I mean. Dude, that, like I mentioned, I make some jokes about this. This is going to be peak NHL 30 because I agree. These are the things that seem easy, and it's just so far down the list of things they need to work on because there's so many other broken things in the game. I would love to see something like this. My optimism that we could ever get something where it shows you the line combo, it's interesting. Like, even if you clicked on it and in the bottom left, it showed it in that space, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this crazy animation or pop-up or UI. It could just be shown on the card itself. Like, here are all the line combos that it fits into. And, and man, that would be, like I said, guys, there's no way. I would anticipate that the line combo system is not going anywhere for probably about 5 years, I would guess. Usually it goes in like that, and then it's a hot rush, right? So they put a new feature in, they utilize it, they usually don't improve upon it, it gets hated, and then no one wants it, and then they remove it, and they say, here's a new thing, because we removed it, we listened. And it's because they put stuff in, but they don't prove it. That's usually been what's happened. Wildcard, same kind of situation. Like, I guarantee you Wildcard isn't touched for 4 years, and then there's a real conversation if people even want Wildcard, right? So I would love this, man. I pray that this gets into the game because you're right. Early on, at start of the season, like, or the beginning of NHL, there was like, 10 for overalls and things like that. Very easy. But now when you get into like the 30s, not a complaint. I want to be very clear here. My only complaint with the 30 options we have now is that it takes 15 seconds to scroll to the bottom, which is a joke. And that's a data issue in the game. They need to improve upon that. I don't know how they will. The UI in HUT will always be an entire console generation behind. That is kind of my stance on it. If you load up into Hockey Ultimate Team, expect the menus and the mode to run like it was on the prior gen console. That's would be my way to describe it. But I would love to see something like that be implemented for sure. Champs games being 20 games just ain't it. I can't remember the last time I actually played all 20 games. 19 likes. So this highlights, again, HUT Champs is the only mode where they should only take the feedback of the top-end player base. It is for the hardest and most hardcore players, and that is always my stance on it. It's the only place in the game where they should cater to the 1% because it is meant for the 1%. It should be the most competitive thing. What's funny is that HUT Champs is super unserious. The first 10 games for anyone that is above Silver 2. So Silver 2 is the barrier of entry. So if you get into Gold, the first 5 to 10 games are going to be far easier than any ranked experience you have, which is a mess. It shouldn't be like that. The final 10, when you actually start getting into players you should be playing against, real hard. And like I'm talking real difficult. And if you go on like you're 14-2, your final few games are going to be real tough. And but when it comes to 20 games, you know what's funny? HUT Champs when it was first launched, I believe was 25. And it was only Friday at 5 p.m. till Sunday at midnight. Like, it is, the 20 games is quite a bit if you don't play on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, which is what always ends up happening to me because I play during the day. Once 6 p.m. comes, I'm off my stream and I don't play NHL, and I'm hanging out with my kiddo, my wife. You know, I go out and I'm in a cornhole league on like Thursdays, right? So like normal stuff, right? But if you play at night, Wednesdays, Thursday nights, you play a couple games. The best way to do it is, honestly, if you're in gold, I don't even play ranked. Play champs Wednesday through whatever. Couple games here and there, it'll add up. It's the only weekly rewards you can earn, like for online play. It's funny that you got 19. Again, that I think a lot of my audience is probably more on the offline or maybe less competitive end. 20 games in, there just isn't a lot. When you consider that ranked is complete non-factor for anyone that's above silver 2. I'm talking about worth your time. I just don't, in terms of rewards, I don't, champs is it. So I watched this dude named Sleeveless Gaming, and he has been saying for a while now that all the line combos are resetting at the end of season 1. That's where I heard it first. So I mentioned yesterday in a video, and I wonder if Sleeves on Gaming has anything to say about. Yeah. Like dude, my by the way, now that I have a tattoo sleeve like almost completed or halfway completed, it's now ironic. So my gimmick makes no sense. I hate it. But now it's like I have a sleeve, so it's like a joke that I'm you know what I mean? I don't know. I wish I could change my thing. Anyways, when it comes to this, so yesterday I mentioned I was trying to find where it was mentioned line combos were reset. This has happened to me before. It's happened to me before where I remember speaking to a dev, and it wasn't anything like in private or anything like that, right? It was just like where it was like NDA, things like that. And I remember assuming that something would work a certain way, and then I was like, okay, this is how it's gonna work. And then it just like, man, I think it's a Mandela effect. Is that what it's called? Where you're just so certain of something and it's actually not true, but you're just so sure, but you actually, if you dive deep, you don't remember how you like figured it or how you came to that conclusion. I was like, is this happening again? Because there's no talk. Someone left a comment saying, I don't understand how casuals don't know that line combos are resetting. And then I went in and I showed there's no banner. There's nothing. There is literally nothing that states line combos are resetting since launch of the game. So I went back and watched like the deep dive and stuff, and I just couldn't find anything concrete. They are resetting. I don't know to the extent. I would assume my hope is there's some line combos that should not go away. Check my game breaker, marquee. Those are event items. I know I have a feeling they're going to wipe them out, and it's going to be like, oh, but now we got the same kind of big boost for salary and AP and all that, but it's going to be for the new events. Like, I don't know. I think a fresh set of line combos is going to be great. And there's been so many cards. Like, if you've been playing since launch, you're probably going to be able to access some of the better ones. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, teams that don't have any good cards. Like, any. I'm sure there's people screaming at me right now because they're fans of a team that haven't gotten anything. Like, even the Red Wings got Larkin, for example. Like, I'm trying to think of a team where they're just like, did the Minnesota Wild have Boldy and a transaction Capri? If there was like a popular line with Minnesota, it would probably be pretty rough. Because I can't think of anything off the top of my head where there's a lot of good cards other than that Boldy. Even that Boldy is, right? So, it's just another thing where I'm very excited to see. I'm excited, concerned, and just like engaged in how season 2 is going to go. But they are resetting. I don't know why it isn't a bigger thing. I don't know to the extent of what they're resetting. So I can confirm that. I don't know if all of them are. I would assume the fantasy ones are not going anywhere. They can't. Like thinking more and more about it, like the fantasy ones cannot, because again, they stated that like here's a 15 million of the salary cap, which is a massive bonus because they know that the salary cap is gonna be crazy. But yeah, the line combos will change. But I just don't know to the extent. So also, man, I hope they figure out a way to make it. If they're just gonna add more, imagine like it's just gonna take them 2 minutes to scroll to the bottom. The UI is so bad. It's so bad. There should be 2 30-day XP paths in a 60-day season. I don't hate that. A 60-day, because what I mentioned in my last video was if seasons are shorter, in the new content structure they have, I keep rubbing my tattoo. Oh my god. Um, they if the seasons are shorter, seasons are not just for XP. In last year's game, when the XP path was introduced, that was pretty much all seasons were. It was like, okay, who's the new card to chase after the end of season, like Macklin celebrating. This year, it's like, dude, every new season we get like 6 new icons, new captains, new rookie cards. I'm forgetting one, new heroes, and then an event. Like it's just like content. I call them content nukes. Okay, you get these massive content drops. If they were to happen every 30 days, we'd be overwhelmed, and more content is never a bad thing. But it would legitimately exhaust the player base, I think, if it was like every 3 weeks we get this gigantic drop. So I don't know if the ability, because they did like a mini one, right? Like with Lindros and whatever halfway through. So I think if the season is 60 days, that way the content doesn't have to drop like that much, and you can do a mini one halfway through. But the XP path, interesting, because the XP path didn't really give us much. It really did not give us much, right? Like we got a couple 81 overall cards, and that's it. So, I'm curious to see how that plays out. Because you can freely upgrade and downgrade the MSPs from this event, I built all 8 Skater MSPs and Jake Ottinger, really hoping that this format for MSPs moving forward, it's so nice to be able to change who you've powered up on the fly and shade things up. 100% agree. For anyone that I stated not to, like about tokens and stuff like that, you want to make almost every MSP. The goaltenders is where I'd be like, but Ottinger and Hellebuck are both like among the better goalies in the game. So like even making them isn't bad. One cup chase run will give you more than enough to make an MSP, guys. Even if you don't pull enough 78s or 79 specifically, you can just sell what you get to make, you know what I'm saying? You just, again, I think the sweet spot is 30 tokens, all MSPs. All the 81s, 30 tokens. 45 would be the highest I would go, I think. Because that would mean you have 35, or you have 3 beast mode master set players in your lineup at all times. But man, with all the new combos, man, 45 is probably like optimal. 30 is the minimum. I wouldn't go more than 45. I know a lot of people were asking me that. So thank you guys again for watching tomorrow's video. We've got new content today. Very curious to see how that plays out. We should only get 2 more beast mode drops in terms of event items. So curious. And then tomorrow, maybe Star of the Month, if it's a thing. Which I know it is because we saw a banner of it from a video on Bar Down. So I know that Star of the Month exists. So it's got to come Wednesday. Very curious to see how that works out. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great afternoon. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.